Fulani terrorists, they have found their space or their place in the forest of your state is concerning. Yes, it is. And we know that they've never really left. Somehow, you know, they've just managed to bury the story, not to make it like, you know, a primetime stories in Yoruba land. They are still there. Our people are still being kidnapped. Our people are still being attacked. So if the Oyo State government raises alarm, then it should be concerning, not just for himself, but for the rest of us. And they should not call them bandits. They are terrorists and should be treated as such, in my own opinion. Because before you know it now, then you begin to hear that we are also doing amnesty for terrorists in Yoruba land for peace to reign. You know? Because we already have someone who is supposed to be a king in Yoruba land. Now he has crowned a Fulani Seriki somewhere in Yoruba land. Let me see the name again. Okay, it is a place called, this guy on the left that gave a sword as a staff of office to a Fulani. His own name is, his kingdom is Kweme Kingdom in Badagry. His name is Oba Sejiro James. Now, Sejiro James, this is what it looks like. Proper, clearer picture. This is what it looks like. Sejiro James is the Oba of Kweme Kingdom in Badagry. And the guy, the one that had the bed sheet over his head, that one, his name is Muhammad Umar. So there must be a substantial number of Fulanis in Badagry before this guy decided to actually crown one of them as a Seriki Fulani of Kweme Kingdom in Badagry. So I thought that the Oba Akran, the Akran of Badagry, is the paramount ruler of Badagry. So how come this madman has any authority to actually crown a Fulani Seriki in Lagos State, in Badagry? How? What kind of authority does he have? I have been trying to figure that out. I have not succeeded. Okay? But that is his space. His name is Sejiro or Sejiro James. So if you are from Kweme Kingdom in Badagry, now you have an idea of what your own royal father is almost foisting on you. Yeah, if they are living in Badagry peacefully, let them live in Badagry peacefully. Why give them Seriki Fulani? Isn't that what the Hausa kings did when they allowed Danfodio, the first terrorist in Nigeria of in the old northern region then? Uthman Danfodio was an Islamic teacher as well as a charm seller. It was a charm seller. He was selling charms, just like Afonja and Alimi. So Afonja, who invited Alimi, a charm seller, ended up having his head on the spike by the army brought into Ilorin by Alimi. And similarly, Danfodio, a Sahelian terrorist who came as a teacher, teaching. And you know something about them is this. These Fulani terrorists, what they usually do, they don't really fight themselves. They will turn you. They will turn your own people against you. They will be the one to do the fighting, which is true. Those who captured the Hausa land for Uthman Danfodio, they were not Fulani fighters. They were the converted students of Uthman Danfodio who were Hausas themselves. Because they were told that their forefathers, their fathers, they are pagans. And the religion of Muhammad that he has brought to them is the only peaceful religion, the religion of this and that. So he used their own children to kill them. And they called him master. He was their master, the Satan, at the time. Well, he wasn't a Satan then because he rejected the Satan, but they call him Amir. So if you have a Yoruba Oba that is crowning a Fulani as a Seriki in his own domain, that tells you all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Okay? And this one is one of the Yoruba bastards crowned in Yoruba land. There are many bastards crowned as a king in Yoruba land. But once in a while like this, we get to see their true faces. Here is one of them, Sejiro James. And I hope the people of Badagry are aware, because people have been reacting, by the way. People have been reacting to this, like, what the heck? How could, I mean, what's going on? You know? Anyway, let's leave that and then go a little bit forward because our time is almost out anyway, or finished. Today is also our Princess Balogun's birthday. So today is Princess' birthday, oh, by the way. Princess's birthday. Yeah, so if she's in the studio, right? I mean, if she's in the temple right now, so you can have a chance to say hello to her, okay? It's happy birthday, Princess. Right? So the man that orchestrated what is now the divided Nigeria of today and his own successor, I'm talking about Buhari, Solomon Dalong, has something to say again. This evening, it was on Channel's television, and he was talking about how the APC, Egbekegbe, has now become intolerant of opposition, and how Buhari was a stranger in his own regime, in his own government, and also how it is going to be so difficult for a lot of you to deal with Tifnumbu and his gang because they are so experienced, which is true. They are very experienced. They've been in government for a while. They can apply or deploy all kinds of tricks to keep themselves in power. I don't really have to agree with him 100%, but he did say this. Watch.
Even a geo-demographic and a shift towards even having female incorporated within the structure of leadership. So that is likely going to come very, very soon, especially looking at the future, 2027.
Okay, it will be interesting to see because some of us are he for she. We would like to see that level because I know there was once PDP, I've forgotten her name. I think it's Sarah Jibril. I think that's her name. She even contested in the primaries. Sarah Jibril. I think she had only one vote or no vote. So that's just to tell you how difficult it is for women to access power. But that's a conversation for another day. Before we come to the issue of the current administration and how they are managing the affairs of state by your own assessment, I know I listened to you talk about Muhammadu Buhari and his administration. I don't know what you were. Some people are saying the administration, in their words, were a monumental disaster. Others have saying this government is gaining from some of the things it left off, like the refinery and some of the roads. I don't know what yours will be, but I remember you said in that conversation that Buhari was used and dumped. He was a stranger in his own government. Maybe you can speak to that.
Well, yeah, in one of the last interviews I had in a podcast with one of your staff here, I did mention that as we continue to heap blames on the Muhammadu Buhari's government and then the bulk shifting, that, oh, we inherited this, we inherited that. President Muhammadu Buhari, like I said, was a stranger in his own government. And that government of Muhammadu Buhari was even run jointly by the current president because he nominated about 5 ministers in that government, and he nominated even a vice president. And coming to the issue of President Muhammadu being a stranger in his own government, what I meant actually was that there was an initial intention upon which we campaigned. We got the buy-in of majority of Nigerians and their investments in campaigns to produce President Muhammadu Buhari. But the government was not a reflection of the stakeholders who brought it into office. Rather, we had the emergence of a power cult that sort of hijacked power at that level, and that things were complete of the initial promises and the covenant had with Nigerians. So the president was more or less a stranger in a government where he was popularly elected, and the government failed woefully to meet its campaign promises.
I know that. So let's come to the current administration. What's your view of the current administration, the person and the president called Bola Tinubu? Because you've also said that President Bola Tinubu is surrounded by a sophisticated cabal. That's how you reference this government.
Well, Nigerians should understand when a discussion about cabal is raised. I know some previous presidential aides in their books they publish and interviews had tried to existence of a cabal in the Nigerian presidential system. And I think it will be very, very unfair to posterity to deny the existence of such very dangerous political element that will take over power, pursue its own ulterior motive, using the popular manifesto that was used to gain power. Of course, President Muhammadu Buhari's government had cabal. That is known, and that I've attested to. But I'm less limited to their parochial view of understanding of power relations and extending of their hands into helping themselves with public purse. But President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's cabal is made up of sophisticated and ambitious group of people who had a very long history in power. They are experienced, they are educated, and so they have a sound knowledge of what power is. And since they will suffer more than that of President Muhammadu Buhari, because their capacity to manipulate power, their capacity to also build
Anyway, what he is trying to say to you is that those around Buhari who formed their own cabal, they are very much like myopic in their view of what power was all about. To them, it was to enrich themselves, steal as much money as they could. And they do not understand the dynamic or the dynamism of power or the manipulation tendencies of power. But when it comes to Tifnumbu and his gang, they have more experience, they are ambitious, and they understand the dynamism of power. They can manipulate, and they will manipulate a lot of things just to kind of get and keep on keep the old or their old on power. So that's what he's trying to say to you. So it is never going to be a tea party when these guys are done. I've said something similar to like when they are done with you. Sometimes a lot of you will be asking yourselves, are these guys talking about this Nigeria or another one? Is it this same Nigeria that you are inside they are talking about or another one? Because they will be telling you that everything is fine. And they will ensure that every institution that could have possibly challenged them is taken over, even if they have to create an alternative institution to shadow or overshadow the real ones, so as to ensure that their agenda, their aim and everything is completely sort of achieved. That is what you are dealing with. Career criminals, extraordinaire, sort of. Anyway, we shall see. That's what my friend will say. You know what? We shall see. Because I know that the only thing that would possibly end these rogues is when they outplay themselves. You know, you can outplay yourself when you become so confident of what you are capable of doing that you kind of feel like nobody can challenge you anymore. Like where then they, who get the chance to challenge us? So the only thing that will be left is for you to make a mistake, outplay yourself, outdo yourself. And then, like they say in Yoruba, sort of. Anyway, finally, I always use finally, but most of the time it's actually not finally. I am left with some other stuff I probably can't share because of time. This one is from Mark Zuckerberg, the man that shadow banned my Facebook page for nearly 4 years now. You see, before I decided to start using my YouTube, right? The Ronukus in Nigeria, okay, sorry. Then they were like the cyberbarians, okay? You know, the Buharidins, the Buhari idiots. They are always reporting my page on Facebook. And I always get suspended by this Zuckerberg, the weary Mark Zuckerberg. Any small thing, I will go to bed and I'll wake up in the morning, boom, you are suspended for 2 weeks. What did I do? Well, because I called Buhari. There was a time that Zuckerberg actually shut down my page on Facebook. And guess why? It was because I uploaded the image of the late Alaafin of Oyo, that's Oba Lamidi Adeyemi. So it was during the COVID, all right? So the Kabiyesi was washing his hands. You know, when they say wash your hands and all of that stuff that time. So wash your hand. And they did a poster showing him washing his hands to encourage people to wash their hands. Then I put up the picture to say, oh, and I didn't say anything. I just put up the picture. Then somebody just reported it, or a lot of them reported it, that it was against their religion. Then stop following my page if this is against your religion. Baba, Zuckerberg just shut down my page. I had to open another one. And again, I mean, they always like go on and call themselves to mass report my pages. They shut down about 3 pages before this last one. And this last one, I got suspended so many times that I had to go to YouTube, which ended up being a blessing in disguise. Because if not, a lot of you won't see me on YouTube. You know, it was always my political Facebook. I used to have like a 5,000, 7,000 people watching me live on Facebook. Then they kept reporting me. Today, you barely see 100 people or 200 people watching my Egun. I have been at over 500, in fact, I was around 600,000 followers on Facebook. Then at a point, Zuckerberg started removing all my followers. I reduced it down to what you have today, 540-something thousand. And guess what? Out of the 540-something thousand followers I have on Facebook, less than 1% of them actually get to see what I post. It's called shadow banning. And they did all of this because, and I think they did this to me when he visited Nigeria as well. He visited Buhari in Aso Rock then. And there are some of us that, some of these Facebook pages that really got shadow banned. that if you post anything, people will barely see them. There are like many of us like that. So then people said, Mayegun, just go to YouTube. I was like, I don't think so. They, go to YouTube, my friend. You will go. And okay, I said, okay, I'll go to YouTube. That's how I became a YouTuber. Usually I'm just like on Facebook, ranting and doing all my shit there, right? And I was really very popular on Facebook then. For 4 years of stunted growth, Donald Trump is going to be the president of America in the next 2 weeks. And one of the challenges or one of the accusations against Mark Zuckerberg is the controlled speech. It's not just for Americans, it's for everyone all over the world. World governments, different governments all over the world. They have collaborated with Facebook to shut any critic, shut you down. So now this guy came out and said, well, we are changing that now. You will just see one Lori Bruku who say is fact checking me. For example, I may just say, let me say I put up a post now. For example, right? Let's say I put up a picture, right? I'll use an example like this. Let me put up a picture. This picture of kakistocracy. Somebody may just come and say, it's fact-checking me. This is not the definition of kakistocracy. The definition of kakistocracy is, therefore, this one that I have put up is the wrong one. And therefore, is fact-checking me. And the fact-check says, this picture is not true. The next thing, you are suspended for 30 days. For picture. This was my life with Zuckerberg. And it's still pretty much there. So when it came out today to say they are no longer using any fact checker, third-party fact checker, about APC, Egbekegbe set up their own platform and they called it to be fact-checking people. If you put anything up, even if you put up a joke, they will come and fact-check it so that they can suspend you or shut you down. So this mofo is now saying that is going to be different now. Not that I want to believe him, I just want it to be on record.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote non-stop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less